Before we start, because we are going to talk about pinhole glasses and stenopaque, and we will see all this information as well, saying the name in German. First of all, who has pinhole glasses in the room? Do you have them? Take them, put them on the table. We will do some exercises. Who does not have a pinhole glasses? Don't worry, we'll get some. And if you need it, please, Joanna, Loretta, we're going to show you a small piece of glasses, which is like a small pinhole magnifying glass, which will be like a small pinhole glasses for you to practice.
Entonces, un poquito, mientras tanto, ¿quién no tiene
Who does not have pinhole glasses here? Raise your hands. Please raise your hands. Joanna and Lauretta and Morena will give you something to do the exercises. So please raise your hands and keep them raised till you get what you need. Now, on the second topic today, I'm going to wait because I need you to be raising your hands till you get what you need. So, do you understand me very well? Can I keep on talking? Are you okay? If I keep on talking while you raise your hands, say something, please. So, we are going to talk about the stenopaque principle, which is the beginning of these pinhole glasses and the scientific principle that has helped us to develop these glasses. It means small hole, basically, pinhole. So that's the translation of stenopaque, which means small or tiny opening. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is that we think that people probably don't know all the information that we need for the pinhole glasses. Sorry, the translators are also getting their own, so sorry for the interruption. Now we're ready. So a lot of people think, well, this might be like normal prescription glasses, maybe not. Yes, keep your hands raised if you haven't received yours. Don't worry about that. But how can pinhole glasses be useful? That's one of the main questions probably today. And where can we use them? Is everyone ready? Everyone has their plastic and is prepared for this? Good. So, this gives us a general idea of how these pinhole glasses work. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen this image, but nevertheless, on the top you will see an eye with myopia, and then you will see also how the lens are correcting myopia. Then we have an eye on the second level. We have an eye with farsightedness. And in order to focus correctly in the fovea, the vision, we see how they use lenses as well. And then the big image on the other side is the pinhole glasses, because they filter the blurry part of the vision, allowing us, at least ideally, that the image that we receive to reach in the adequate position, and that's what reaches the fovea, and the ray of light and the image reaches the part of the eye they need to reach. I'm okay with artificial light, but I also wanted some light. I don't mind, honestly. As long as people can see things properly, that's all okay. So, this will be the way in which pinhole glasses work. When you have normal vision, there are a couple of things that would be very interesting also to mention of how normal vision would work. This was discovered in 1956 when we are staring at a fixed object. The eye still performs a lot of tiny and fast movement, the saccadic movements. This was discovered by a Russian scientist in 1956, and Bates was already talking about the fact that eyes move a lot more than we thought. But these were such fast movements that we cannot detect it on a normal situation. So a lot of people and ophthalmologists think that the eye basically does not move that much. It's quite a fixed thing. But we have discovered that people that are looking, watching things, even when when we're staring at a fixed object, there are very tiny, fast movements that can be more than 3,600 movements per second. So this would be normal vision. But what happens when, for any reason at all, for example, due to stress, emotional issues, or anything like that, we reduce the number of movements. Unconsciously, we tend to paralyze movements or to put a stop to them. What it happens then is that the whole visual system gets unbalanced in a way. On one side, we have... Sorry, I'm so used to look at one side that I forget which is on the right and which is on the left. But you can see, according to the Bates method, what is normal vision, basically movement, because the eye moves, and it's relaxed movement, therefore relaxation, and it's centralized, so centralization. We tend to focalize the tiniest details in the fovea. And then on the right, in this case, we see what happens when there's a strain or there's a stressful situation. Instead of movement, we have a stare, a fixed stare, because we have that tendency to fix our eyes there. And then there's also, instead of that relaxation, we have the strain, and instead of centralization, we have a certain dissemination and diffusion. We tend to see everything that is in front of us, not just going into detail, but trying to see as much as possible. And sometimes this is something that a normal eye cannot do. We know this already, but it's important to highlight the fact that the movements, especially the saccadic movements, get reduced in an instant. Bates did not mention this because saccadic movements have not been discovered, that he was talking about shifting, he was talking about movement in general. But what we tend to do is, when we want to reestablish the saccadic movements and to make sure that these movements are relaxed movements at the same time. Sorry, I got lost in my own speech. Sometimes it happens. You will have to forgive me for that. But it's important that when you're using prescription glasses, in these kind of situations, do not solve the issues unless we are very focused on the sharpness of the visual acuity. The fact is that normal prescription glasses prefer or stimulate staring. They don't want, they eliminate diffusion, they don't help. They go more into detail, into focusing on sharpness. They go for bigger objects. They don't stimulate movement. They prefer more static eye and to stimulate the staring. But pinhole glasses, on the other hand, allow movement. And now, let's think about that possibility of reestablishing the saccadic movements. Let's use our tiny tool, our plastic tool, or our pinhole glasses, if you have one. Try to find something, a small detail. This is just a demonstration here, but it would be very interesting to try to find something near, a number or a letter that you have nearby that you can read, and try to do the same experience, first with just one eye. So we close one of our eyes and we use the pinhole glasses or our tiny tool, and we try to look at a number. And we focus on that number, and we will sooner or later see that if we find that number in the central hole, just in the central one, we will see this with a lot of sharpness. Now, if we try to see the next letter or next number, we see there's less sharpness. And if we try to move our head, like trying to look first on one of the holes and then on the next one, and we do this fast, we will see like a jump in the sharpness. So it's like our letter or our number is jumping from one hole to the other. If we do this slowly, the movement will allow us to have a double image of the same single detail. It is quite interesting to think about this concept, diffraction. When the light sees a change in surface, tends to turn things around in a way. And this creates this effect where the number that is between two different holes seems to be on one, because it looks like the light creates a curve, and we can see the same number, the same letter in the two different holes. If you have tried the experiments, just do it with one eye, please. Just one eye, the other one closed. It helps you to see things sharply. Now, it's also important when you're using the pinhole glasses, because of this phenomenon, when you see things very clearly in the center pinhole, and when you move, you have different jumps in the image, helps the eye to train. It's not just helping the eye to see things sharply, but also to train the eye to focus better and to centralize better, to actually situate the eye towards the center pinhole, and to focus on details and to move around. It helps the eye with the principles of the Bates methods. And obviously, because you see things with greater sharpness, it allows the eye to see things in a more relaxed way with less effort. We've done this test already. So let's talk a little bit about the pinhole glasses. When we're talking about the holes, there are different varieties, but as far as I know, you can have a pyramid glasses, and here you can see this quite clearly, because there is these squares, little square holes, and these kind of glasses tend to give us that area that is closer to the eyes, smaller than the one that gets more separated from the eyes. Basically, it's like a pyramid, has the same kind of structure, and this is important. Now, these are the cone glasses. These kind of glasses, or stenopaque glasses, has also difference in size. Outside area, it's bigger, the one that is closer to the eyes, smaller pinholes, like a cone. And these pyramid and cone glasses have similar characteristics. As we go outside, the holes get bigger. As we go closer to the eye, the holes get smaller. And it has to do with diffraction that we mentioned before. These are the small or pinhole glasses. As you can see, the holes are smaller. Ideally, a smaller hole will offer a greater level of sharpness, but there is an issue here. The issue is the smaller or tinier the holes, less light we get, or less brightness we get. So we will need to find a certain commitment between the two options. Too big of a hole will allow too much light inside. It will allow us a lot of sharpness, but a smaller one will reduce the level of brightness in the image because we get less light. This kind of glasses are better for those with a severe myopia with more than 6 diopters. And why haven't we mentioned yet round holes or cylindrical ones? Well, usually the pinhole glasses that I sell are not round hole ones. The ones that you tend to find with round holes have less quality. And I don't even say usually round, I tend to call them cylindrical because the area where we have the pinholes have a specific thickness, and that thickness is relevant. This would be a way of seeing the difference between a cylinder. You can imagine that this cylinder is the hole in the frame of the glass, and then we have the conical hole. So basically we can say both things could be the same. We have a cone-shaped hole and a cylindrical one. Can I go back? No. Can I use this? I hope so. So this will be a little bit of the outside area of the hole. And from here, when light comes through, you get that diffraction effect that creates a halo of blurry vision. In a cylindrical one, you will also get this same blurry vision at the back of the hole. So we will have a double blurry vision effect. Therefore, we will lose a certain level of sharpness. In cone-shaped holes, what we see is that there is a diffraction at the opening, but we don't get that on the back of the hole. We only see it on one of the sides. So there's an outside part that gets outside of the vision effect. I don't know if I explain myself quite clearly here, but what I'm trying to say here is that this is similar to the pyramid glasses, because here is where we actually get this diffraction effect. That is what actually I've been trying to explain to you with this first exercise. So, just by giving you some advice when you are thinking about buying some pinhole glasses, well, it's pretty simple. You can try them on to see if you feel comfortable, if it's okay for you. But at the very beginning, when you have up to 1 diopter or a 1.5, negative or positive diopter. It seems like I only said negative, but it can be both for nearsightedness but also for farsightedness. Both cases will be the same. So we're talking of low cases of nearsightedness and farsightedness. Usually we recommend pyramidal or pyramid glasses. When we have diopter between 1.5 and 5.5, we tend to recommend cone-shaped holes or conical glasses, and those that have more than 5 or 6 diopters, at least at the very beginning, they feel more comfortable with those glasses with the smaller holes.
Sería la forma de los agujeros, ¿por qué no cilíndrico?
This will be the size and the shapes of the holes. We're going fast, we're doing fine. Now, I would like to talk a little bit more about how can we look at things when we are wearing these types of glasses, because this is where we might find some issues, this is where some people find some difficulties. When you are using this kind of pinhole glasses and you want to avoid problems, the first thing you have to remember is that you need a lot of light. Because these kind of glasses especially the small hole ones, actually reduce up to 70% of the light that surrounds us. That's a lot of light that you lose. That means that if you're out in the outdoors, that's great. But when you are with an artificial light, like here, well, you lose a lot of light. And if you're in a darker room than this one, you will definitely have some lightning problems. So this is something important to know. You want to read a book at night? Well, if you have a small lamp, you're in the bed, then don't use these glasses. Use something that will actually pour the light into the book so that you can actually use these glasses and read the book at the same time. But also, if you are working with your computer, with your laptop, you need to increase the brightness of the screen. You have to do that because a lot of the light that comes out of the screen will be eliminated by the pinhole glasses. So it will go exactly in the other direction that when you, for example, when you're using prescription glasses, you tend to lower the brightness of the screen because you don't need so much light from that. It's sadly the opposite situation. If you don't do that, a lot of people will not see things as sharply as they should with this kind of glasses. And some people think also about how can we move the head. Well, you've seen that it depends a lot on the head movements, how you get the adequate focus. You have seen that in order to go from one detail to another, you have to move your head. The eye apparently does not move. But the pinhole glasses allows the eye, because eyes don't have to do these long and complicated efforts, can do a lot of saccadic movements to explore the whole detail that we are paying attention to. And if we dedicate a lot of time to a specific detail, we will see more and more information about that detail. We shall not try to see everything at once. If we're reading, let's focus on one individual word and not the whole sentence. And this is something that we have to tend to change our ways of reading when we are having prescription glasses. We tend to focus on the whole line and sentence. Sometimes we don't have the level of sharpness that we need, but we don't really care. But with the pinhole glasses, we shall not be in a hurry. We shall not want to see everything all at once. We need to explore word by word, and it will be the brain, the one that will fit all the pieces together in this big puzzle. And also, don't forget to blink and to breathe. It seems something quite obvious, but when you start to work with these kind of pinhole glasses at the very beginning, it's a little bit weird, isn't it? And sometimes we tend to forget even to blink or to breathe because we're so focused on that. But don't forget it. Sometimes we try to open up our eyes to see everything with these glasses because this has been what we have always done. And then we breathe and then we blink, and we should not forget to do that because it's key to help us to focus our eyes and help and stimulate the saccadic movements. If we blink frequently, we stimulate the saccadic movements. And finally, we should introduce movement gradually. What does this mean? Movement, for example, physical movement, walking with our pinhole glasses on the street, looking at things that surrounds us, this will be a very potent stimulus to reestablish the saccadic movements in the eyes, especially to stimulate the interest, but also by using movement, basic movement. But there's also the fact that at the very beginning, people with nearsightedness, this might be a little bit too much. A lot of people with myopia, when they start walking around with these kind of glasses, they get dizzy because they feel like everything keeps on moving and they feel very uncomfortable. They can get used to it. They can get used to it. And to getting used to it, this is good. It's something that we should aim for. But it is advised to start little by little to make this transition easier. Like, for example, reading, to watch television, to watch something on the screen of the laptop or the computer, because this has a certain level of difficulty. And then, once we have managed that, then movement, but little by little. And at the end, you can drive your bicycle, you can ride on your bicycle with the pinhole glasses, as long as you do it in a very nice place. But you cannot drive a car with this. First of all, it's illegal, completely illegal, but also pinhole glasses will reduce the periphery vision, and if you reduce periphery vision when you're driving, you are risking your life and other people's life. Therefore, don't use them for driving. What else do I have to say? Oh, well, yes, I would like to do another test, if you don't mind. Shall we do another test? With this is the right time to do our reticular, our pinhole exercise. So get your glasses, get your tool, and let's do something with it. So first of all, we can use, this slide. Okay? For those with myopia, this might be a very interesting exercise. It's in English, but don't worry about that, because it's not about reading here. The experience, again, close one of your eyes, keep the other one open. So cover one of your eyes. We could do it with both, but let's start with just one, okay? It's easier when you start just with one. And I will translate from English. It says, move your head and your eyes at the same time, go one letter after another, see each individual letter, moving your head, seeing how your head moves in one direction and the letter goes into the other. Don't read the sentence, don't read the meaning, just focus on the letters from right to left, and try to see if the movement is an apparent movement from the letters. So your head will move in one direction and the letters will apparently move into the other direction. Please, I said don't read. Try again, don't read. Don't read. Let's try again, but not reading, not cheating. Just see the letters. You see they're upside down. That doesn't matter, because I don't want you to read. I just want you to try. Just go letter by letter, one by one, from right to left. Move your head, and you will see how the letters move. It's like tiny little dwarfs that jump one after the other. This is the phenomenon that I mentioned at the very beginning. So it's important to notice the movement and how the head moves in one direction and the letters move in the opposite direction. So this is important. So we can take everything else from the speech out, because what we have learned so far is a way of liberating stress anywhere, anytime. If you, for example, are having some issues with your reticular, your pinhole glasses when you're reading, do this. Just do this. Move your head from one letter to the other, not reading, not cheating, and just your head right to left, and we will see how the letters move in the opposite direction. This is a way of introducing movement, of getting used to movement with these glasses, and this will help us to get used to this movement. Now I would like to talk about where can we go once we have introduced movements. We started reading, then movement, and what now? We can go to other experiments, like, for example, this one. And I'm going to tell you a story. Well, I think it's probably an urban legend, but nevertheless, that doesn't really matter, because it's something that you can do. This is a story of a person that was jumping on a trampoline And in front of him there was a kind of metallic mesh, and suddenly he realized that he was seeing better because he was seeing things through that mesh with movement. Of course, movement at the beginning was a bit uncomfortable, but little by little he noticed that he was seeing things sharply. And then this obviously is a urban legend, but this is the urban legend that explains the birth of the pinhole glasses. This is an absolute lie because we already have these kind of glasses in the past, but it was only possible to do this industrially in the last 50 years. Nevertheless, another story, if you don't mind. This, as you can see, is a plastic with several holes on it. We have produced these kind of screens and we put them in front of speakers. And the anecdote, the story here says that there was a production plan that was fabricating, manufacturing these plastics, and there was a production line moving these plastics along, and people working there were just checking quality of the product, of the plastic, and then they start looking through the plastic, and they were quite uncomfortable with that. They said, this is not nice. They kept on complaining, saying, we hate to do this. And they said, this is not good for health. We have terrible headaches. And after a while, they started having eyesight problems. Incredible story. Everyone that had problems before start seeing an improvement in their eyesight. It was incredibly uncomfortable, true, and they had headaches. But the thing is that those that had the eyesight before saw an improvement. So therefore, there is a reason why these glasses actually are worth the effort. Not just if you, for example, have myopia and you want to watch television, or you have presbyopia and you want to read the book. It is a way of training your eyes, and therefore it's a way of increasing the movement in that training more and more. So it has a very strong training value. Now, once I said this, pinhole glasses, the fine hole ones that you saw them, are extremely useful for people with myopia. But if you want to have that training value, to be able to stimulate the saccadic movements more and more, it would be better to have medium-sized or big-size holes, because we can change the type of pinhole glasses. We can start with one type of pinhole glasses, and once we start introducing movement, then we might change to a different type after a while. What's the aim of using this kind of pinhole glasses? Well, first of all, this will be one of our aims. First of all, I think everyone will be agreeing with me to reduce the use of prescription glasses. Bates always said that because we want to reduce the prescription glasses because they do not help in the improvement of eyesight, and there were several experiments. Nevertheless, the reduced use of these glasses was important because prescription glasses don't always help. The more we can reduce the use of these prescription glasses, or standard glasses if you like, the better the results in the end. In some cases, this reduction will be completely impossible, but they can be used sometimes instead of those prescription glasses. And every single time that we can do that, we can use the pinhole glasses instead of the prescription ones. This is a little battle that we have won, because it's important to do that effort, to do that with interest, to do this in a training program. For example, a Bates method program. But that's all the things in my experience where I've seen that it's quite interesting to introduce the use of the pinhole glasses. For example, when we are doing some swing exercises, I think a lot of people have already experimented with people that have severe cases of myopia. The pinhole glasses allows them to stimulate their interest in what is going around them. There's also the possibility of having the long swim. If you're doing that exercise, you also get the stimulus of the saccadic movements.
Puede ser utilizado con el delinear.
It's also quite useful when you are doing drafting. For example, this is an image by Janet Goodrich. You can find it in her book. When we're doing this is a very useful way of using shifting principle, the principle by Bates, and actually have results that are fast, immediate, and useful. And also it can help to relax the eye. It can help to stimulate the head movements so that the head will move in sync with the eyes. And this is something else. There are many other things where this could be useful. I'm not saying that pinhole glasses can be used for every single different activity in the Bates method, but it can solve all the problems. People that are not so sure about what they should be doing, or that they are extremely nervous because they're not seeing enough, they're very worried about all these. There are some medical conditions that can see an improvement thanks to the pinhole glasses. This is not a miracle worker, nevertheless, but they can help you with some of the medical conditions. The most obvious one will be the cataract. The cataract, and we have to say it clearly, this is the only way of helping someone with a severe case of cataract if they want to see things with sharpness. Because the principle here is that they filter every single element of the ray of light that actually blinds the person with cataracts. Therefore, when you have an elder patient that cannot or do not want to go into surgery or are scared of the idea, they can use these pinhole glasses to read, to see things sharply, and to do things that they were not able to do before. Also, albinism. This means that there's no protection in the iris. There is a lack of melanin that will protect the eye from light, so too much light gets into the retina. And the albinos usually have to wear these very thick sunglasses that will protect them. The pinhole glasses protect them from the dangerous light, and there's a specific pinhole glasses that only have one central hole. And this is extremely useful for the albinos because they can see things properly with the required protection and without being damaged by an excessive amount of light. Keratoconus. All the things that are included in the list are conditions. I am not an ophthalmologist, but nevertheless, a lot of people come to my practice and they have these conditions. Keratoconus is a degeneration of the cornea. If you have these and you're in a severe case, you will see everything as a broken reality, something that has been broken into little different pieces. It's like a Picasso painting, if you like pieces that are not connected one with another. But when you have keratoconus, people can actually focus eyesight in a clear way, in a sharp way, with these kind of glasses. This obviously helps them to relax And as we have already mentioned, relaxation is really the most important part when you have a medical condition. If we can reduce the strain and the stress, we can help the recovery process so that the body can recover itself. Macular degeneration. It might seem that it does not have anything to do with here, but when we're doing decentralization exercises, this helps eyesight. This is true, but nevertheless, my experience says that there are some cells in the macula that might still be working, and thanks to these glasses, people can still see something, even if it's a very small and reduced area. And they can, for example, start reading, and they probably thought that reading was an impossible action before that. Nystagmus. Nystagmus, because we should. Apparently, it is a condition where eyes are constantly moving. They have a very fast movement, so they cannot really focus on things. They keep on searching, they keep on moving, but they never get the focus that they need. What might seem as a contradiction here is the fact that from the very beginning I said that the movement of the eyes, the saccadic movements, are very important, that we want to stimulate movement. But then we have nystagmus. But this is not a saccadic movement. And we can even say it quite clearly. This is a stressful kind of movement in this case, because saccadic movements, we will not be able to notice that. If someone is doing saccadic movements, we cannot perceive it because it's very fast, it's very relaxed. But when we see these other stressful movements, we can actually see them because they're forced movements. And so what we want the eyes to have normal, relaxed, saccadic movements and to stop this stressful nystagmus. It's not a contradiction in itself. What we're talking here, honestly, is that these are two completely different types of movements, and what we want is to have the adequate movements that will relax the eyes so that the eyes will have calmer movements. And this is very simple. Most of people that have nystagmus and use pinhole glasses, at least based on my experience, feel a certain relax. I feel more relaxed. I feel less stress. I can see a little bit better now. And it's basically the fact that they can get relaxed and they can stop being so stressed. And the final condition, strabismus and anisometropia, which means that the eyes have slight differences, usually slight differences in measure. For example, one eye has a certain number of diopters, the other has a different kind of diopters. It doesn't mean that we can cure that. These kind of glasses can only help, but cannot cure strabismus. What they can do is help coordination and make coordination easier. They help so that there is less contradiction between the eyes. And also, when you have different strengths and potentialities between both eyes, well, I would like to explain it if you don't mind. When you're using prescription glasses, and you have, for example, a person with one diopter in one eye and more in the other eye, the images that one eye receives is completely different to the images received by the other eye, because they have gone through different lenses. One is bigger than the other, and the brain cannot put these two images together in one single image, a mental image. But by using the pinhole glasses, although there are still differences, you say, oh my God, I can see a cat.
5 minuti, sì, sì, scusa.
Oh, I only have 5 minutes. It's not a cat. Sorry about that.
Lo tengo bajo controllo.
I know, it's perfectly, everything is under control. I'm finishing here, so don't worry about it.
Con la capa reticulares,
With our pinhole glasses, size is the same. Maybe the level of sharpness will not be exactly the same, but the brain will receive the stimulus to make these images as similar as possible. I'm perfectly on time. Don't worry about that. Don't stress yourself. Now, if we go one step further, is this the last thing I want to say? I don't know. Well, nevertheless, there are different adaptation levels when you're using this kind of glasses. At the very beginning, a lot of people say, I see double images. And this usually happens because you try to see everything all at once. When you're using these glasses, little by little, you will solve this, and it will not take that long. Later on, a lot of people have also mentioned other issues that can also be resolved by using them, but they said that they don't like to see the net, the pinholes, the mesh. I cannot ignore it, but you will ignore it. It will happen gradually. You can get to the point where you will decide whether you want to see it or not. And my final point will be, based on my experience, that although these kind of glasses need a lot of light, as we already mentioned, once you get used to using them, and once you're used to stimulate the saccadic movements and centralization and the rest of the Bates method principles, you actually start to see things with greater sharpness, even with less light. And finally, and this is finally, when all of these improvements that come hand in hand with the use of these pinhole glasses are improvements in the implementation of the Bates method principles. And all the difficulties that we might find when using these glasses are difficulties due to the fact that we are not applying the Bates methods as we should. And that will be it. So thank you.